You've just seen a photograph of one of my students that I took in 1971 in Ghana in West Africa. He was on teaching practice in a temporary classroom. Didn't have a whiteboard, of course. He did have a blackboard. Didn't have any books. Actually didn't have any walls to his classroom. Can you imagine what it was like teaching in a situation like that? Really, really difficult. And teachers like that relied heavily on what we would call drills. The sort of thing that happened in the early 1950s when I was at primary school, where we would all chant the times tables together. So they'd certainly chant the timetables in Ghana in that time, but they'd also chant lots and lots of other things. Like he might write on the board and they would all read it together. He might read a book, read one sentence, the class would repeat it. If he wasn't happy with the way they repeated it, they'd do it again and again. And he's got to fill a whole day of people chanting back at him. Well, they did have some slates to write on, but that was just about it. What a tough situation. However, children learnt. I mean, not the best way of teaching, but they learnt. And by the time they left school, they were confident in speaking English. So different from me. I went to a holiday in France and my son had to go to hospital. I realised I'd got 2 French O-levels, GCSEs, and I couldn't even spell his name. I couldn't say how to spell his name. I didn't know how to say the alphabet in French, because in the late 1950s, all we did was reading and writing. So the strange teaching in Ghana was actually better than that. So what I'm talking about now is how we work with beginners. And actually, that repetition, just saying the English words, really helps. That drill-like activity, it can be extremely boring, of course. But let's have a look at first how we might do some just basic drills and then how we might make them much more interesting. The simplest drill is the repetition drill. So I say a word. Oh, must have a picture so we understand what we're talking about. Understanding comes first. An arm, and you say an arm. A foot, and you say a foot. So that's the most basic drill you could possibly have. The next drill is the question answering drill. And guess what? I ask you a question. So, what's this? And you've got to say, it's a leg. What's this? It's a knee. Don't forget, you also need to include plurals. So, what are these? They are feet. What are these? They are fingers. Okay, it's a question answering drill. Now the next drill, actually one of my little favourites, is the chain drill. So I've got my picture here, bananas, and I first turn to the person here and I say, what are these? And they've got to say they're bananas. Then they've got to turn to you and ask you, what are these? And you've got to ask the person over here, what are these? They're bananas, and they've got to ask me. Okay, so a nice little chain drill really gets people more involved. And so they're really asking questions of each other, even though they're obviously the simplest possible questions. Just want to emphasise that these activities can be used at all sorts of different levels. So I've just got a few actions here. She's driving a car. So rather than just naming something, you can name an action. So I could do it with the chain drill. What's she doing? She's driving a car, and so on. So a wide range of sentences you can use for all of these drills. You only need to spend a few minutes on each of those drills because otherwise they get quite boring. The chain drill's okay for a little while. But many children need longer to really absorb those new words. So here's a lovely activity. This is called 1 of 3. I just love this activity. So I've got 3 cards here. I've got a motorbike, an ambulance, and upside down I've got a bus. So those 3 cards, a motorbike, an ambulance and a bus. And I'm going to ask you I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to show you the back of the card. Let's start with the person over here. What's this? They say, it's a bus. No, it's a motorbike. Okay, now I ask you, what's this? Oh, you say it's a bus, and this time you're right, so you win the bus. So I've now got 2 cards, but it's 1 of 3, so I've got to add another card. So I've now got a car, an ambulance and a motorbike. A car, an ambulance and a motorbike. I ask the person here, what's this? They say it's an ambulance. No, it's a car. I ask the next person, what's this? Oh, they say nothing. Okay, now you don't wait. What's this? Okay, no, it's an ambulance. They don't get it. What's this? You say it's an ambulance. No, it's a car. It's very fast, and you keep up that pace. I must tell you about this Vietnamese girl I was teaching. And she was too shy to talk. She actually knew a lot of English, but she was too shy to talk. And we were going round the circle, everybody really concentrating on this 1 of 3 game. And she couldn't say it. And I gave her no time. But every time it came to her, with a little bit of sleight of hand, the answer was, it's an apple. It's an apple. It's an apple. And after about 3 goes, she knew it was going to be it's an apple. She was desperate to get it. It was the 5th time round, and she said, it's an apple. Yeah, and it was an absolute breakthrough. And she just began to fly after that. She just needed that bit of confidence to actually say the words. So these little games, they're funny, a bit quirky, but they get children involved and they give them the confidence. And once kids have got confidence, they'll fly.